Okay, let's have a look at the marketing strategy section. So in this section you will develop your marketing, so your career marketing strategy by dividing the market into segments, deciding which to target, and developing a strategy designed to effectively reach the chosen segment customers. In this case, it would be your potential employers. So the first thing you do is you do the segmentation section. Divide your market into the relevant segments in order to determine which ones will be the most appropriate to target. You need to follow the steps. So the first one is step 1. You select your market or product category, your niche industry. So my example is higher education in South Africa. Step 2. You list your potential needs in the market. The potential needs of the market or product category. What are the people's needs for that industry as related to your expertise? So example, in my industry, higher education, they want a master's qualification, they want industry experience, they want research output, and they want teaching experience. Okay, what are they in your industry? You should give at least 4 here. Then step 3.1, choose a basis or bases for segmenting the market. Which variables will you use to divide the various organizations in your industry? And here I give the various employer segmentation variables. Okay, industry niche. This is the specific part of the bigger industry that your organization is in. These are, so remember we have segmentation variables for products and services. They include things like demographics, psychographics, benefit, geographic, and so on. Behavioral. But for organizations, for non-products, right, you need different variables, and this is what they are. Industry niche, organization type, what category of organization is it? Organizational focus, what do they focus on as an organization? Where are they located? What is their size? What is their job offering? What responsibilities would you have? How much hours would you get and leave would you get at that organization? What's the remuneration like? What benefits do you get? What's the stability and the security of that company like in terms of growth potential, training and development you'll get at the organization, what rewards and recognition you can get, what reputation you could get, the culture of the company, the values of the company, the vision and the mission of the company, and there might be others that you can consider for your specific industry. Okay, so for my industry, higher education, I'm going to look at organizational niche. What does each university focus on? Where they are located, what type of university they are, and what they focus on, how they position themselves. Okay, those are the 4 I'm going to choose, and you need to choose 4 as well. Don't just choose the same as mine. Think carefully about what you need to choose. You might consider remuneration as a big thing, right? How much they pay. That could be a big one for you. If you choose that, you need to find out how much each, of the organizations that you're going to look at actually offer in terms of salaries. You might have to look at benefits. Do they offer medical aid? Do they offer pension, etc.? What's the growth potential? Usually growth potential in a big company is fairly big, but in a small company it's smaller. But sometimes it's the other way around. It depends on the organization. So you need to really consider what's important to you. Okay. Right. So then you selected the segmentation descriptors, the sub-variables. So for me, organizational niche, in terms of organizational niche, so here I give an example. For example, if you choose company values as segmentation based, which company values will you choose to use? For example, are you looking for a company that values ethical trading, going green, fair trade, what? Gender equality. So for me, for my example, organizational niche, I choose number 1.1, those that offer business courses with marketing subject. That's very important because I teach marketing. So I can only work really in an organization at this point that offers business courses. Okay, so what they focus on. Then for location, I'd preferably like to work in Cape Town. Organizational type, you get traditional or comprehensive universities, you get universities of technology, and you get private colleges and NGOs. Those are the 3 different types. And then lastly, you get focus. You get theoretical training that's mostly focusing on theory. You get vocational training. CPUT does a bit more vocational training. And then you have industry specific training, like that AAA does for advertising. Okay, so those are my sub-variables. Then step 4, you segment the market. In this step, you actually divide the market up using the descriptors that you've chosen. You need to actually use the variables you have chosen and place real organizations into your segments, as well as their contact details. So I start off with marketing qualifications and subjects, number 1, and I say there are many in South Africa, those in the Western Cape will be covered below. Okay, then I segment based on Cape Town. Okay, and I look at organizational type, organizational focus, and their exact location and contact details. Those are my 3 columns. Okay. First, I look at traditional universities. Those include the University of Cape Town, organizational type, organization, University of Stellenbosch, University of the Western Cape. I look at their focus. They focus on theoretical training and they offer BCom qualifications and majors in marketing. The same applies to University of Stellenbosch and the same applies to the University of the Western Cape, and then I give their exact location. Then I look at the next organizational type is University of Technology, their CPUT, and CPUT offers vocational training diplomas focusing on offering specific industry specific training with strong links to a range of organizations, and I give their contact details. And then lastly, the next organizational type I look at is private organizations, private universities. Then there's Boston City Campus, CTI, Education Group, Damlin, Oval International, and these are all found on the internet. AAA, Red and Yellow, Varsity College, Vega. Okay, and I explain based on their websites what their websites say they offer. They offer all these different degrees and diplomas, and then I give their details. So those are my different segments. Okay, I basically have 3 segments here. There's that one, and that one, from what I can tell. Step 5. Profile and analyze the homogeneous segments. Describe the profile of each of the segments that you have found. Explain in terms of their unique needs, and I go into that over here. Okay, so I combine these 2 together. Step 6.1. Identify the determining dimensions. What are the things that are most important to each segment? Now you'll have to develop your table in terms of your segments very specifically based on the bases that you chose. Okay? Right, so then I look at the homogeneous segments and the determining dimensions. Determining dimensions, remember, these are the things that that organization needs for you to be able to work there. So, first I have the theoretical group, that's my 1 segment, which includes the organizations, UCT, Stellenbosch, etc. And then vocational segment, which includes all of these. I included these in vocational segment, I see. So that's not... Oh right, University of Technology. Even though these are private, some of them are private, some of them are also vocational also offer vocational training. So yeah, I actually, in the next table, I actually segment them even further, as you can see. I choose vocational, not necessarily, I don't use private training as my 3rd segment, I use industry specific training as my 3rd segment. Okay, and I include those here. These are all, that one is advertising, that one is advertising, and that one is branding. Okay, then I look at their focus. These focus on general commerce, these focus on general marketing, these focus on niche marketing. Details of offering, I'll give the details. And then the needs. What do these organizations need for me to be able to work there? Well, they need research experience and preferably a teaching qualification. Vocational training organizations usually want research experience, but they also want industry experience. Whereas at like your UCTs, they don't care much for industry experience, they want research and teaching experience. And then lastly, in industry, you need industry specific training. You need a relevant degree, you don't need a master's or research experience, and you need very specific industry experience. So you'll need experience in advertising if you wanted to work here. Okay, then I develop the identifying the qualifying dimensions. And in other words, these are the things that I'm looking for in an organization. What is important to me? I want these things in the organization. If they don't have these things, then I don't really want to work there. So I give an example. In higher education, I want a focus on student development and teaching excellence, and I explain why I'm passionate about teaching and student development using any means necessary as long as the institution cares about student development and not just about money, then I'll be happy to work there. The next thing I care about is industry relationships and opportunities for work integrated learning. Does the institution offer opportunities to build networks with the industry and give students the opportunity to get out there through service learning, work integrated learning, project-based learning, and so on? Another one is innovation, research and development for teaching and learning. Is the institution willing to try new things like blended learning and other forms of technology-enhanced learning? Does it encourage innovation and give space for innovation? Another one is education for all, access and success. Is the institution existing to make money, or are they pursuing ways to provide access to as many South Africans as possible and putting measures in place to ensure student success? Then I explain here. If they do not offer these things, it would just be a teaching job for money with no opportunities for developing new ways of doing things. In that case, I would not enjoy it at all. The theoretical and vocational segments, especially the University of Technology, offer all these qualifying dimensions for me. Step 7, then I choose my target segments. Name and select the target segment, those are the segments that you want to work for. So I had 3, remember? These are my 3. Which of these 3 am I going to choose? I'm going to target all of them, 1 of them, 2 of them, which? Then I say here, I'm going to choose, and then I name them. I call this one student success. And I say it's theory-based teaching excellence. That's that segment. I've given them the name student success. And then that one, work success. That's this one. I call them work success. And they focus on vocationally based training excellence. Those are the 2 that I'm going to target. I'm not going to target these ones because they don't really meet my qualifying dimensions. They don't offer education for all. They don't really focus on, okay, they do focus on industry relationships, and they certainly do focus on innovation, but not necessarily student development and teaching excellence or education for all. So that's why they didn't meet my criteria here. Okay, so then I choose and I explain why I would target these 2 segments of institutions that offer opportunities for research and development into teaching excellence and therefore student success, as well as research and development into vocational training and therefore work success. Both of these things are important for ultimate career success for the average South African. Okay, so you would then explain which types of why you've chosen the 2 segments that you've chosen. Okay, then we get to targeting, the market to which you are planning to sell the product or service. In this section, you need to determine how you will go about targeting the segments you have chosen. Which will you target first and why, and how will you target each one? So then I explain here. I will target the work success segment first, simply because I have relationships with an organization in that segment, which is CPUT. I've built relationships with those at CPUT who are passionate about developing the work-based competencies of students. I will develop those relationships and eventually pursue employment in that segment, which is what I've done. I now work there. Initially what I did was I pursued a relationship with some lecturers at CPUT to develop work-based learning, and then I started working there. Once I've pursued the segment, I will see if there are opportunities to develop relationships with the other organizations in that segment, as well as the other segments through the following methods. Okay, so who are the other organizations in that segment? Here they are: Gamelin, Varsity College, Oval International Education, CTI, Boston City Campus. So I would then, after I've developed relationships here and started working here, I'll develop relationships with these guys. And after that only will I move to these ones. That's my strategy. Okay, work success. I will build relationships with industry organizations. I will get involved in service learning and work integrated learning. I will do research into work integrated learning, and I will test new ways of approaching work integrated learning, and I'm doing all of that in my masters. Okay, then I'll move to student success segment. I will attend conferences, I'll do presentations. This is how I'm going to connect with these people. I will do joint research projects with people, with other lecturers in those organizations. I'll get involved with national teaching and learning associations like Altasa. I'll get a teaching qualification. I will volunteer on national bodies like Altasa. Again, that's how I'm going to connect, and I'm already doing a lot of these things to connect with people in those organizations. Okay, so that's my strategy. Remember, targeting organizations in an industry based on career planning is all about making networks, making relationships with people in those organizations, in those industries. And there are very specific ways in each industry in which you can build relationships. It's usually got to do with networking events and doing joint projects and things like that. So you need to think about going to workshops together. You need to go and have a look at how can you network in your industry of choice and with organizations that you want. Okay, then we get to positioning. Now we have to go through the whole positioning, all the positioning steps. And first you need to wonder is how you will position your product or service in the market and differentiate it from its competitors. Well, step 1.1 is to list the attributes that are desired by the customer. Okay? And step 1, right, and here are some of the things that are desired by higher education institutions, that I have a relevant qualification, that I have research experience, that I have teaching experience, industry experience, teaching qualification, and developmental in nature. These are all the various attributes. Now, what are the attributes that are desired in your industry of choice? Is it being creative? Is it being able to communicate effectively? Is it, etc., etc.? A specific qualification, a specific experience, I don't know. Then you're going to rank the attributes. What's most important to what's least important? So the most important thing in your industry, in my industry, is that I have a higher research-based qualification, like a PhD or master's. The higher the better. The next one is research outputs. If I can show that I've made journal articles, that's very good. Then teaching experience, then industry experience, then involvement in institutional involvement in management, then a teaching qualification, and then being developmental in nature. So I rank them, and then I list my competing brands and explain how they are perceived by customers. In this step, you need to list competing brands. It is suggested that you develop pseudonyms, like these are fake names, examples of the types of people that you compete against in your industry. Give them specific strengths that are different from your own, so that you can plot them effectively on the perceptual map. So there's competitor A, B, and C, and you need to write in who they are. I'll show you my examples. Competitor is Joe, lots of research experience. Competitor B is Tundi, lots of teaching experience. Competitor C, Kurtley, lots of industry experience. And competitor D is Betty, highly qualified. Okay, those are my fake competitors. But they're not necessarily fake, because these types of people exist, people with lots of research experience, teaching experience, and so forth. I'm just giving fake names to them, just so that I can, like a profile. Then you need to map your competitors and their positionings on based on two important aspects. Okay, so I've developed a positioning grid for you and place competitors randomly. You can move them around as you need to. Choose the 4 variables that you will use on your map and map with and place them in the spaces provided. Also, instead of making 2 maps, rather just place your business or your personal brand in the space you see it, filling in comparison to your competitors on the map. Either close to competitors or away from competitors. You don't have to be away from competitors. You can position yourself close to other competitors. That's fine. And then with an arrow in which you will be moving that indicates where you're going to be moving towards, which direction you're moving. Okay, so we're going to use 4, not just 2 important variables. We're going to use 4. One variable, another variable, another variable, another variable. And usually these 2 variables relate to each other, and these 2 variables relate to each other. So I'll give you an example. So yeah, I put in high research outputs. At the bottom I put in high teaching experience, because they're usually opposites. if you spend a lot of time on research, you can't spend so much time on growing your teaching. If you spend a lot of time on teaching, you often spend less time on research. Then lots of industry experience on the one side and highly qualified on the other side. If you spend lots of time getting experience in industry, you don't have as much time to study, and vice versa. Okay, then what I do is I plot, remember, now I go back here and I look at Joe. Joe has lots of research experience, so I need to put Joe there, high up on the map, high research output. Then competitor B, Tandi, she has lots of teaching experience, and there I put her, high teaching experience, Tandi. Then Kirtley has lots of industry experience over there, and obviously Betty is highly qualified, she has lots of qualifications. Then where do I find myself? Well, in terms of higher education, I usually feel like I place myself, I don't have as much teaching experience maybe as Tandi, who's older than me, but I have a lot of industry experience because I've been in the industry very long. I am qualified in terms of marketing, but not necessarily, I don't have a teaching qualification, and that's the direction that I want to move towards. I also don't have lots of research outputs, so I'm going to move in that direction. Okay, and as I move in that direction, I'm going to become more and more competitive in my industry. I currently have a fair amount there, I explain it. I currently have, and you need to do that too. I have a fair amount of industry and research experience. In future, I would like to move towards being more qualified and gaining more research experience. Okay. Then, positioning strategy. Why is that important? Well, because in terms of the ranked attributes, those are very high on the list. Okay. Step 4, positioning strategy. Explain your positioning strategy. Will it be in the gap or close to existing products or services? Okay, then I explain I'm going to position myself in the gap related to industry experience and teaching experience. I'm going to have a little bit of both. I'm not going to just have industry experience or just teaching. I'm going to position myself there. Okay? Differentiation. Now, this is a very important section that you're going to get a lot of marks for. So make sure that you do it very well. You're going to get more than 8 marks as indicated in the rubric. Maybe close to 30 marks. So make sure that you do this section very well. Now, in this section, you need to use some of the elements you wrote down in your positioning section of your career plan overview and combine them with some of your new thoughts regarding your positioning strategy in order to build your positioning house, which we covered in Chapter 7. The tutorial, specifically the tutorial of Chapter 7. First, answer the following questions and then complete your house. Okay, differentiation. How are you different? What makes you unique? This is natural ability or characteristic. Then, your competitive advantage. This is the unique benefit you gain from your difference. It is the value that you can add to any organization because of your natural ability. Then the positioning base. What base will you build your positioning on? What will you communicate to the target market? Positioning strategy. Explain the positioning strategy in more detail. Unpack the positioning base you have chosen. Then the USP, your unique selling proposition. What is the one thing that you will focus on? That you will tell people and organizations about yourself. This is what I am. Once you've answered these questions, you need to insert them into your house template. See below. Then I say remember to answer these questions. Is the differentiating variable or characteristic desired by consumers? Explain. Can we sustain the advantage over an extended period of time? Explain. Can you manufacture and market the product or difference at a price consumers are willing to pay? And is it profitable? Okay, then I say here. I say this is the difference that I'm saying that I have. I'm action research oriented. I learn fast and naturally test new things all the time. I test new teaching strategies all the time on various different students. So I have an action research orientation when it comes to teaching and learning. Then I say, is that differentiating variable or characteristic desired by consumers? And those would be institutions. Yes, the university does desire people who can do effective action research and test new ways of doing things, especially if they can publish on it. Then I say, can you sustain that advantage over an extended period of time? Yes, I can sustain it over time. I can certainly grow my abilities in doing action research. Can you manufacture and market the product at a price consumers are willing to pay? Well, yes, they would simply need to pay me a competitive salary. I should also not be given too much lecturing or management work in order that I can focus on action research. Is it profitable? Yes, it will be profitable for me and the university. It will grow my research portfolio and it will bring them money and research acclaim. It will also help us develop a new effective ways of doing things, which is good for me, the university, and the students. So then I have to explain why is it profitable. Okay, after you've answered those questions, you need to fill in your house template, and here is the template. Okay, so you have price, product, place, promotion. You have your differentiation base at the bottom. You have your competitive advantage. You have your positioning strategy, and you have your positioning base. And lastly, you have your unique selling proposition that you need to pop in there. Okay. For some reason, I can't see. You need to just use a text block. Okay. Over there. So, product strategy. This refers to, well, you know what the differentiation base, competitive advantage, we've covered these in chapter 7, but I'll show you an example down below. Product strategy, you look at brand name, your brand mark, what recognizes, it's usually, when it comes to professional brand, it's usually a photo, right, because your face is kind of like your brand mark, and your name is your brand name, and your packaging is usually the way you dress. Okay, so for a specific, like in the fashion industry, you need to dress very specifically, and your hair needs to look very specific. Also in the design industry or the hairdressing industry, and then in education, you have to look very specific, wear very specific clothing, advertising. So it all depends. You need to explain how you need to dress in your specific industry of choice. Okay. Pricing strategy, place strategy. How will you make your product available to consumers? To employers. Promotion strategy. How will you market and promote your brand? And this explains what these two are. Okay, so let's have a look at an example. So remember, you start with your differentiation, which I explained about, and I said that my differentiation is I'm action research oriented. I learn fast and naturally test new things all the time. Why is that? What advantage does that give me? Well, it means over my competitors. Well, it means that I'm innovative. I'm always finding new ways to do things and adding value all the time. Okay. Then I look at my positioning base. I suggest that my positioning base is benefit, because I focus on all the benefits that the universities can gain from employing me, or that's what I'm going to focus on. I'm going to focus on promoting myself not as the cheapest, which would be price and quality, or features that I'm action research oriented, but rather focus on the benefits. And you can add more than one here, obviously. You don't only have to have one. Then I explain, I would like to position myself on the value or benefit I can add to any institution. Using my innovative and action research approach, I would like them to see how I can help universities find new ways of doing things and bring about effective change that leads to student success in the context of teaching and learning, management, curriculum development, program development, research, and community engagement. So here you explain your positioning strategy based on your positioning base. And then lastly, you choose, or actually that's right at the end, that's not even here yet, but my USP is that I want to be an innovative teacher, not an innovative researcher, but an innovative teacher. Okay, focusing on teaching. Then product strategy. Here is my brand name, Mr. Dylan Cromert. Eventually it will be Doctor if I get a PhD. My symbol. This is the symbol I will use on things like LinkedIn, right? Because that's where I'm going to be promoting myself. What type of image am I choosing? It's semi-formal. I'm smiling and I look approachable. Okay. I don't want to choose an image that's very somber or one that's too informal. Packaging. How am I going to package myself? I'm going to have a trimmed beard, a shirt with a collar, chino pants, no tie, comfortable yet professional shoes, short hair, no excessive jewelry, and add a professional warm jacket in the winters. How are you going to dress? How are you going to package yourself for your industry? Then I look at the price strategy. I'll opt for a monthly salary. There are some organizations where you can opt for per hour rate, but I'll opt for a monthly salary and hourly payment for part-time work, and this meets the institutional payment strategy. at most universities. I will require a higher salary as I progress in research. I will apply for promotions as I achieve more in the area of research and in teaching and learning. So you explain your strategy. What are you going to opt for, and how are you going to, what are you going to want in the future? Place strategy. I will put money aside. Remember, this is how you make yourself available to organizations. I'll put money aside so that I can travel to their local universities and work from their premises. Eventually, I want to own a car so that I'm more flexible and can travel to different campuses quickly. Okay. I will learn how to use the institutional online system in order to serve the learning needs of students via digital platforms like Blackboard. That makes me available to do teaching and learning anywhere. I will make myself available to students via social media platforms. So you see, this is how I make myself available for the work that's required at this organization. Then, how am I going to promote myself? Well, I'm going to have a CV, I'm going to have a website or blog, I'm going to have a LinkedIn profile, I'm going to have a business card, I'm going to have a Twitter profile, Facebook profile, and explain how those are all going to relate. Okay, and then lastly, I choose some slogans for myself. Develop potential slogans that could work to position your brand product effectively in the minds of consumers. Make sure that your slogans actually relate to your unique selling proposition. The one thing. Make sure get creative in portraying your USP in your slogan. If you had a website, this would be your slogan, for example. So you need to develop 6 potential ones. I'm just going to give you one here. Innovative teaching for a new tomorrow. Right, so Dylan Cromert, innovative teaching for a new tomorrow. That's, for example, what my website would say. I'd have the name, my name, and my slogan. Okay, so you need to develop 6 potential slogans. And that is your career marketing plan. It is not a full marketing plan, but it is a good mini version of a marketing plan for you to understand most of the elements that you need to consider in a step-by-step format for a marketing plan, and you develop it for something that you already know about, and that is yourself. So I hope that you enjoy developing this marketing plan. I look forward to marking them.